Welcome to Around the Weird. Here's your host, the museum curator of the strange and unusual, Mr. Nothing.
Thank you, mysterious voice, and welcome back to Around the Weird, a booktube channel where I talk about all the unusual and out of the ordinary literature that I have found in my travels. Today I want to talk about a graphic novel that I recently read, one that is about Caped Crusaders, masked vigilantes, and revenge, of all things. I am referring to Under the Red Hood, Batman, by Judd Winick, with art by Doug Minke, Shane Davis, Eric Battle, and Paul Lee. This actually is a sort of an anthology that encapsulates Batman numbers 635 to 641, and then 645 to 650, and then Batman Annual number 25. So it's more of the entire Batman Red Hood story arc that was done around 2005-ish. So for those who don't know, Judd Winick is a comic book writer predominantly, although he has written a number of other things, and he's written for TV as well. I have never encountered any of his work in the past, but I have encountered Doug Minke's art style before, as he's written for other Batman comics. I actually really enjoyed this, and I'll talk about why later. And so I would be interested in finding out more about Judd Winick's other work, because it seems pretty good. And what's more is this is sort of an unofficial sequel to the Death in the Family storyline, where the Joker kills the second Robin, Jason Todd, and then spoilers, but also not really, Jason Todd comes back in this specific comic book, even though the writers said that they had permanently killed him off, so the writers lied to us. I feel okay spoiling all of this just because this was several continuities before, with the DC universe being rebooted like twice now. So I think it's fine, as long as it's distant enough in the past that and I feel you can still enjoy it knowing that spoiler. So without further ado, let's talk about Under the Red Hood. I'll provide a summary, a little analysis, and we will move on from there. So, Under the Red Hood takes place after the Batman Hush storyline, which I had cataloged in another video. Go check that out. I'll put a link to it in the description. It also takes place after the No Man's Land and war crimes, war games storylines, where Black Mask officially takes over the Gotham underworld, and in the process he kills Stephanie Brown, the fourth Robin. Batman has a bad track record with Robins. Also, Barbara Gordon mysteriously dies in an explosion, although I think later it's indicated that she faked her own death or something like that. But so that's where the story takes place, and also shortly before the Infinite Crisis storyline, where everything got rewritten again and multiple parallel universes were utterly destroyed. So that's about where this story takes place, with Batman mourning the loss of both Stephanie as well as Barbara Gordon, and feeling like he's on his own again. So not only is he dealing with that, but there's also been a hostile takeover with Cord Industries, which is the R&D section of Wayne Enterprises. So Batman no longer has that R&D part to fund his new equipment. He has to deal with older equipment, which surprisingly doesn't play that large of a role in this specific comic book. So Batman is fighting crime. A bunch of criminals are sitting around a table, and they're talking about working with the Black Mask when the Red Hood shows up. The Red Hood announces that he plans on taking over, and they can all either be killed by the Red Hood, or they can decide to work alongside him, and they all decide to do that. Red Hood seems to be disrupting Black Mask operations at this point, and this makes Black Mask very angry. Black Mask ends up setting up a big deal on a shipment to collect a certain shipment thing that is important to him at this time. Batman hears about it, the deal going down, so he heads there too. He encounters a Mazo, who is a Justice League villain, and Nightwing and Batman managed to take down Mazo. In the process, this was all sort of a distraction on the Red Hood's part. He ends up getting the shipment that Black Mask wanted, which is a container of hundreds of pounds of kryptonite, which Black Mask wanted for some unknown reason. So Red Hood sets up a deal, but Black Mask sends Mr. Freeze to kill the Red Hood. But luckily, Batman shows up again, and they all manage to disperse. And it appears that Black Mask still has to deal with Red Hood in his life. Meanwhile, at this point, the story kind of flashes toward a funhouse on the outskirts of town where the Joker is at. The Red Hood shows up and promptly decides to beat him up with a tire iron, resembling the scene from A Death in the Family where Joker beat Jason Todd with a tire iron. And then he takes off his mask, and it's revealed that Red Hood is Jason Todd. Surprise, surprise. Meanwhile, Batman is seeking more info on how the dead get resurrected. He's reaching out to other superheroes and villains who have come back to life, but he's not really getting definitive answers, and it's a bit weird why he would be doing this, considering he doesn't even know that anyone in his life has come back from the dead. But Batman isn't getting the answers he wants. One of the other superheroes of Gotham, Onyx, tracks down low-level criminals, and Red Hood shows up behind her, but he helps her take them down. But when Onyx tries to take Red Hood in for his crimes, he fights back and almost kills her. Batman shows up, and they have a fight on the rooftops. And after the fight ends, Red Hood takes off his mask, and Batman discovers that indeed this is Jason Todd. Batman has his doubts at this moment, but Jason Todd encourages him to take a blood sample and also a fingerprint, which Alfred later confirms indeed that this is Jason Todd, although there is a mystery of how he came back to life. Jason Todd at this point tells Batman that he absolutely hates Batman for his unwillingness to take the right actions in Gotham, and he also says that he hates Gotham because the man that killed him supposedly is still walking around, and also there's a fact that Batman, like, you can't take down the criminals in Gotham through fear alone. You have to give as good as they get, and so that requires taking extreme action, often leading to killing. And so Jason just starts taking apart Black Mask operation piece by piece, killing some of his henchmen, and also shooting a rocket launcher at his base of operations. But luckily, Black Mask manages to escape. At this point in time, Deathstroke turns up and offers Black Mask entry into the Collective, a society of superheroes, and he even lends some of the villains to Black Mask in order to take down the Red Hood. But Batman and Jason actually end up working together, and they manage to stop those villains from getting to Jason. So Black Mask later kills Capos, and it's revealed that he made this deal with the Red Hood, and if he kills the Capos, then Red Hood will back off. But Red Hood indicates that he doesn't intend to hold true to that deal, and he'll keep taking apart the Black Mask operation. And so this angers Black Mask to the point where he stabs the Red Hood and seemingly manages to kill him. But when Black Mask takes off the hood, Batman learns that that's actually not Jason, and it's all been a distraction for Jason to be able to kidnap Joker at this point in time. So Batman manages to track down Jason, who is holding Joker hostage, and even threatens to kill him. At the same time, the Collective drops a sort of nuclear bomb on the sister city of Bloodhaven, which is where Nightwing, the old Robin, works. And so Jason notes that like he's making Batman suffer as he suffered with the fear that maybe the other Robin is truly dead and Batman can't save him at this time. So Batman responds by throwing a batarang at Jason, which hits him in the neck and allows the Joker to escape. But before he does escape, he hits an explosion, or one of the bombs that was laden around the building. And it sort of ends on a cliffhanger there, with us not really knowing what happened to Batman, Robin, or the Joker. In the Batman Annual, which doesn't really continue the story, it does tell a bit of how the Red Hood managed to come back to life, which during the Infinite Crisis, Superboy Prime manages to alter reality by beating against the very fabric of space and time. And then Talia al Ghul brings Jason to a Lazarus pit, which jogs his memory again, but also drives him crazy knowing that Joker got away with his crime. And so that's where the story ends, with the knowledge that Jason Todd has been forever changed, or has he really? That is an important question of this story, and that's where I leave it right there. In terms of analysis, there is a bit to talk about with this story. The first is the Red Hood character. I really like the Red Hood character. He feels a bit edgy at times, but it also feels like a natural evolution of Jason Todd as a character. He was a very angry Robin. Like I talked about A Death in the Family. Go find that. Where Jason Todd is a bit more aggressive than Batman, and he has a lot of unresolved trauma that he's working through, with his parents being dead, and the fact that he's facing the man who killed one of his parents, Two-Face, on a regular basis. So there's a lot of stuff that Jason Todd was going through, and then there's the fact that he was beaten to death by the Joker, which is never fun, to be beaten to death. But that irrevocably changed Jason by one, killing him, but also by changing his perspective when he came back from the dead. You could argue that the Lazarus pits corrupted his mind in some way, as they did to Ra's al Ghul, but they just showed what Jason Todd was always going to become, and that is a psychopath vigilante who resolves the criminal, resolves crime, who solves and fights crime through violent means, through extreme means. It's kind of similar to Rorschach. I keep comparing characters to Rorschach, but I guess that shows Alan Moore's influence in the comic book world, where Rorschach and Red Hood both have similar methods in resolving issues. Rorschach saw the violence and the extreme nature of criminals, and realized the only way to fix the problem was by killing those criminals. Otherwise they'll just come back and do more harm in the future. And Red Hood is kind of the same way. He's not afraid to do a little crime. Maybe it's because he's realized that nothing is meaningful anymore. It's sort of understanding that no matter how much you try to put away the criminals of Gotham, they're just going to come back and do more harm. It's the Joker problem, where Batman's refusal to do something about the Joker has allowed him to kill Jason Todd, has allowed him to kill Stephanie Brown, has allowed him to paralyze Barbara Gordon. And so Jason's understanding of that, he realizes that he can't be soft with Gotham's criminal overlords. They have to be dealt with, and if that means killing them, well, that's just how you do things. So it's interesting to see that element, and it's not out of line with where Jason Todd was going, because Jason Todd had all these, as I mentioned before, he had all these unresolved traumas. He needed a guiding hand in his life to guide him to a point where he wasn't, stealing hubcaps off cars in Crime Alley. And Batman, Bruce Wayne, wasn't that for him. Bruce Wayne saw this orphan who needed help, and he was like, I can turn him into a crime fighter. It's the same problem I had in Death in the Family, where that's not properly addressed, and it's properly addressed here. Jason Todd needed help, and Bruce was not willing to provide that. He saw that Jason was becoming darker, and like at one point he even says to Alfred, like, the criminals don't fear Batman because they know he won't kill them. Like he might be this mythological figure in Gotham, but he still won't kill them, and the criminals know that, so they can go to extreme methods in order to antagonize or even get away with their various crimes. So I like that element. Like it's Red Hood, Jason Todd as he was going to become all along, because Batman wasn't doing enough to help him, and it's very tragic and very unfortunate. A lot of people don't like Jason Todd, especially because he was he came back to life. But I actually like Jason Todd. I like it because of the nuance of this character and the tragedy that is his life and his reincarnation. Another element of the story that I like is that it asks and answers the Joker question. And the Joker question, as I've been talking about Batman and Joker for a while now, is should Batman kill the Joker? What is he going to do with the Joker, knowing that Joker keeps escaping from prison and wreaking havoc on the people of Gotham? And not only that, but killing members of the Bat family, particularly paralyzing Barbara Gordon and killing Jason Todd. What is Batman to do about the Joker? And Batman says the only thing he can really do is he can fight the Joker and put him away. Like Jason Todd says that that's not enough, and that he has to go to extreme lengths, like the Joker is doing, and kill him. Like he should do that with every member of the criminal element of Gotham City. But Batman notes, especially in this comic book, something that sticks out to me is he says that it'd be too easy to do that. Sort of like, oh, we can't reduce ourselves to what they're doing, which is a bit cliche, but it does make a lot of sense. If you kill the Joker, that's too easy. Like the Joker's dead, but what's to stop you from taking that kind of behavior, taking that mindset into the other criminal element? Mr. Freeze freezes people to death and kills them sometimes. Should you kill Mr. Freeze? Scarecrow unleashes a deadly fear toxin upon the Gotham populace. Should you kill him? At what point should you start just killing every member of the Gotham criminal underworld just because they eventually get out of prison? It raises a lot of questions about, again, the death penalty, corporal punishment, stuff like that. Is it enough to just be Batman, or do you need to be something more? With Red Hood arguing that you do need to be something more. You need to put more than just fear in the heart of Gotham's criminals. And Batman saying if you do that, that's a slippery slope to killing everyone. And who is Batman to decide who gets to live and who gets to die? So that's a lot to think about there. Something else that I like about the story are the mythological aspects of it. Specifically, the story references Lazarus multiple times, which is a mythological figure, legendary figure who came back to life. So kind of like what happened to Jason Todd. But the story also references Daedalus and Icarus, which you could argue that Batman and Bruce and Jason Todd, Red Hood, are Daedalus and Icarus. Another instance of father and son that's been pounded throughout this entire story, which Jason does not like the insinuations of that, because after all, if Bruce is like his father, why did his father let him die? But I like the story of Daedalus and Icarus, where Daedalus gave Icarus wings, but Icarus flew too close to the sun and it ended up dying. And that's kind of what happened with Batman and Jason Todd, where Batman gave Red Hood wings by giving him the mantle of Robin, but in his fighting and vigilantism, he flew too close to the sun by taking on the Joker, and that resulted in his death of falling into the sea or being blown up by a bomb. So you get the similarities to Daedalus and Icarus, and then Daedalus, very frustrated with the outcome of that, going on to do other things in mythology. But I do like how Winick actually incorporates elements of mythology into the story. It gives it a deeper feel to it. Another thing I like about this story is the great art. I think all of the artists involved in the story did a wonderful job and you'll see that throughout the video, but of getting at the darkness and the dark tones of the story and infusing it into the story, and especially with the Red Hood, his mask. I think he's a wonderfully designed character in particular, the redness really stands out. Another thing I really like about the art is Superman. The entire story takes place in Gotham for the most part, and so you have these dark elements and these dark tones, and then Superman shows up to talk to Batman about coming back to life, and you just get these bright colors that come into conflict with Batman's darker colors, and I really like that. It's definitely how Superman should be, a beacon of light in the darkness that is Gotham. One thing that I don't like about this story is the odd ending, and also maybe the continuity errors that have to take place, where the writers kind of force Jason Todd back into existence, even though they promised that he was dead. So they have to do a lot of hard work in order to make sure that he does come back to life, which doesn't always necessarily make sense. And especially because the Infinite Crisis is happening, this story doesn't really get followed up on. So at the very end of the story, Joker blows up the building they're in, and that's not really followed up on. We eventually find out that Jason Todd survived, but we don't really find out how he survived, or anything like that. It's a bit confusing to me. And I guess because the Infinite Crisis happened, we didn't really figure out, how the Joker got away, or what Batman did next, or how he appealed to Red Hood afterwards. And I would have really loved for this story to have been followed up on in some way, so I could read that. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like that happened at all. I did end up reading Batman and Robin Reborn, and Red Hood shows up there pretty early into his career, so that could be seen as a follow-up. But again, Batman was dead, so you don't get that resolution between the two characters. Not that there needs to be a resolution, but there does need to be oh, I'm sorry, or something like that on Batman's part, and Red Hood needs to, I don't know, maybe become less violent or something like that. So that's an element of the story that I wish there was more of, where the writers didn't really have a plan on how to end it, so they just blew everything up. Anyway, those are my thoughts on Under the Red Hood, the cool Batman comic by Judd, Winick, and many other great artists. I definitely recommend it. This is one of the better Batman comics that I have read. Batman stories, graphic novels. This is actually multiple issues, so a really solid collection that I definitely recommend that you go seek out and read. It's a perfect companion piece to Death in the Family. I didn't enjoy Death in the Family too much. There were a lot of issues that I had with it, but this is a really great follow-up to that. So I definitely recommend that you go seek it out, and this was absolutely brilliant on their part. So if you have something to say about my review, or if you read this series before, let me know what you think in the comments. I would love to hear your thoughts about the Red Hood in general. Otherwise, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so that other people can find out about this beautiful series. And until then, I wish you the best of luck in your weird and reincarnated travels. Farewell.